Hi, in this video I want to cover something that is really useful to know as a hypnotherapist, and that is how to create amnesia. Now, if you look at the literature, what you often find is that there are certain things which are called deep trance phenomena that allegedly can only happen in deep levels of hypnosis. Well, this is not true. You can create all sorts of these so-called deep trance phenomena in a normal waking state. You absolutely can, because when you think about it, you've probably had examples where you've forgotten someone's name when you're out talking to someone. That's amnesia. You didn't need to be in a deep trance for that. If you're like me at my age, you probably walked into a room and thought, what the hell am I doing here? What did I come in here for? So amnesia comes along all the time. It's exactly the same as all the other so-called deep trance phenomena, such as analgesia or anesthesia. I don't know about you, but have you ever been doing some work maybe on your car or in the garden or some DIY, and unbeknownst to you, you cut yourself, and you don't even know that you cut yourself, and then you come back inside and you start washing your hands and cleaning yourself up, and then suddenly you realize there's blood there, and you think, where did that come from? How did it? And then you go, ow, that hurts. Where was that before you noticed it? So these deep trance phenomena, you don't need deep trance phenomena for them. And this is particularly true of amnesia. Now, amnesia is a really useful thing sometimes in a therapeutic setting, because sometimes you want to give clients instructions for doing certain things, like i.e. homework, and you don't really want them to consciously analyze it and be thinking about it. But if you're doing street hypnosis or stage hypnosis, learning to produce amnesia is really, really astounding to the people who are watching and to the person themselves, because, you know, if they can't suddenly remember their name, that's a massive, massive convincer that builds this belief and expectancy about hypnosis. So learning how to create amnesia is a really, really useful skill. So let's look at some of the ways we can do it. Let's start off with some of the ways we might do it in a therapeutic setting. Well, the first one is you're doing your hypnosis session, your client's in hypnosis, you've given them the suggestions, therapies, or whatever that you've done in that thing. And then you emerge them from hypnosis. And then what you do is you comment on anything other than what you've just done. So you completely change the subject. Hey, nice shoes. Where did you get those shoes from? Oh, it's very quiet in here, isn't it? Anything like that that's a complete non sequitur. What will happen is it will like interrupt their pattern and it'll give them amnesia. You've probably had examples of this. Have you ever been having a conversation with someone, and you're having this really deep conversation with someone, and then someone else comes up and says, hey, stop, this has happened over here. And you go, what? And then you go, what were we talking about? That's how it works. So when you emerge your client from hypnosis, comment on anything else. It could be anything, literally. Very great shoes. Oh, it's cold today, isn't it? Have a look around the room, notice everything that's red. Just do that, complete amnesia can occur. Another one you can do, which is straight out of Erickson's work, again, you emerge them and you begin in the middle of a sentence. So it's like you're carrying on a conversation that happened before. And ideally, if you were talking about, let's say you were talking about the weather before you did the hypnosis part, and you're saying, oh yeah, it's really cold out here. And then you're emerging from the hypnosis and say, you know, I've heard it's going to be even colder at the weekend. Just carry on the conversation as if the bit in the middle didn't exist. So you just start in the middle of a sentence, and you know, whatever it is, just start in the middle of a sentence, and that will create amnesia as well, because of this same thing. The brain will, basically what you're doing is you're taking the person's conscious attention somewhere else. They're not thinking about what's just happened, you're taking their awareness to something else. Now, one of the things I'll often do straight away, and again, this is another convincer for the person, is the moment they open their eyes, I will say something like, now, if you guess in a minute, how many minutes do you think you've been sitting in that chair with your eyes closed? And they go, well, I don't know, about 5 minutes. And you go, okay, so if I told you it was 5 minutes, you wouldn't be overly surprised. And they go, well, no. I say, well, what if it was 10 minutes? And they go, well, it didn't feel like 10 minutes, but I suppose it could have been. Oh, okay. How about 15 minutes? Could it have been 15 minutes? No, it didn't feel like 15 minutes. How about 20 minutes? No, there's no way that was 20 minutes. Oh, okay, if it had been 20 minutes, you'd have to accept you must have been hypnotized. Well, yeah, I suppose so, but it didn't feel like 20 minutes. Well, what if I told you it was 30 minutes? No, there's no way that was 30 minutes. And you go, well, okay, look at the clock. Now, straight away, I've taken the attention away from what we've just done and onto time. And now, when they look at the clock and realise that 20, 25, 30 minutes, 40 minutes has passed and it felt like 5 or 10, that's created even more belief and expectancy. And so they're thinking about the time aspect, forgetting about all the actual stuff we did in the session. So you can do that way. Now, this is a real useful one, and this comes out of NLP. Now, in NLP, you've probably seen the eye pattern chart. You know, you see the head with the eyes looking up to visual and across the horizontal to auditory, and down one way for auditory, digital, and down the other way for kinesthetic. So what you can do, and you can do this in a normal waking state, is you can just literally say to someone, what did I just say? And put their eyes up into visual construct or visual anything, just up into visual, and they won't be able to remember what you just said, because for them to remember, they need to access auditorily. And if you direct them up into the visual aspect, give them amnesia. So what you can then do, so they'll probably go, I don't know. And then what you can then do is to then, if you want to, point down to auditory digital and go, can you remember now? And they go, oh yeah, and they'll recall it. So this is really, really useful. So on any of these, one of the things you can do is you can do this, you don't need the hypnosis for this to happen. You can do this all the time. So let's say you've emerged your client now and you've commented on some other experience and whatever. Then you might say, okay, and you give them some process instructions for homework you want them to do. So I know what it is. I want you to drink more water or whatever. You're going to start to exercise on a daily basis, this sort of stuff. And you're doing this consciously. And then you change the subject again. And guess what's going to happen to those instructions? You're going to give them amnesia for them. And what will happen is they'll find themselves just doing this stuff. So really, really, really useful. So pointing up, what did I just say? Or what did I just say? Get their eyes moving up. They can't access auditory recall. Then we can go straight to direct suggestion. And this is perfect. If you're, I don't tend to do this with therapy clients, but if I'm doing any sort of demonstrations, or if I'm doing street hypnosis or stage hypnosis, this can come in remarkably powerfully, because it's such a powerful demonstration, because you can get people, for example, to forget their name. I'm sure you've seen stage hypnotists or street hypnotists getting someone to forget their name. And this is such a powerful demonstration because, you know, what's more personal to us than our name? So if you get someone to forget their name, it's a really powerful convincer for them, but it's a real wow to the people who are watching. So here's how you can do it with greater success. First of all, what I would recommend that you do is that you hypnotize the person several times before. So you do a number of different things. So maybe you're doing the magnetic fingers or heavy arms and whatever. You're creating different phenomena. You're building the belief and expectancy, right? Then you can emerge them from hypnosis and start talking to them. And you can start doing what's called priming. And priming is literally priming the brain for what you're about to do next. And so you can start talking about forgetting. It's always difficult when teaching about this because I don't want you to forget the instructions I'm about to give you. Yikes. So what you do is start talking about forgetting. Like, forgetting is just a normal thing that we all do. Has anyone ever asked you, like, oh, what was the name of that person we saw in that film the other day? Like that actor. And suddenly your mind goes blank. You know who that person is, but you just can't say it. The word is not there. Have you ever had that experience? And of course, most people have. And another experience like that, have you ever been walking along the street and you bump into someone you haven't seen for years? Like recently, I was just walking down the high street and I bumped into someone I used to go to school with. Now, I knew this guy really, really well. and I'm talking to him, I'm going, I can't remember your name. I just can't remember the name. Can't remember his name. Have you ever had an experience like that? You can't remember. You just can't remember the name. So I'm giving, again, a direct suggestion here. So I'm firing this accessing of forgetting in their mind, priming the forgetting, and then also giving them suggestions. You can't remember the name, yeah? You ever had anything like that? And of course, as you get older, you probably had the experience of, like I said earlier, walking into a room and forgetting why you went in there. Have you ever had that experience where you just walk into somewhere and like you forget why you're there? It's just, forgetting is just something we all do. It's just a normal, natural experience. You know, we all forget, don't we? Yeah. So now we primed this whole idea of forgetting. And then you can literally, and this is, you don't necessarily have to put them back into hypnosis again because they're already in it. You can literally just go, and what was your name? And you snap your fingers, tap them on the head. You can't remember. What was your name? You can't remember. And then you can point down to kinesthetic, right? And their eyes go down to kinesthetic and they go, they're not going to find their name down there. You know, the harder you try to find it, the more it's not there. And you know it's not there because the harder you tried it to find it, the more it's not there. So you can just literally just say, what was your name? Okay, past tense. You say what is, it may still work, but it's much more powerful if you go, what was your name? You snap your fingers, tap on the head, something like that. You can't remember. The harder you try, the more it's not there. You know it's not there because the harder you try to find it, it's just not there. And what will happen is they'll go, huh? And of course, that will be a massive convincer for them and all the people watching. Now, I want to tell you that if you don't remove that suggestion, it's not going to be that they'll forget their name for the rest of their life. Something will happen, like, oh, for God's sake, yeah. Just like if you've had that situation where you can't remember the film star's name or something, and then suddenly you go, oh my God, it's like whoever, it comes back. So it's not going to give you permanent amnesia for your name, but it can be a really, really powerful demonstration if you're in this situation. And occasionally I'll use this with clients who really want to understand what hypnosis is and really need more convincing, but it's a really powerful tool. So there's just 4 ways you can do it. You can emerge them and then comment on anything else that's happening, anything else. Take their attention somewhere else. You can emerge them and begin in the middle of the sentence and just go off somewhere else again, taking their attention away from what you've just done. You can use eye accessing. What did I just say? And point up. So their eyes go up. The answer's not there. Then direct suggestion and prime them. So talk about forgetting. Forgetting is just a normal thing that we all do. You know, have you ever someone's asked you a question and you go, oh God, have you ever had that sort of situation where you just can't remember it, where you just forget? Just prime the brain, give them the suggestions. You've done this, you just forget, you just forget, you just forget. And then just go straight into, and what was your name? It's not there. Really, really powerful tool to have in your toolbox, how to create amnesia. There are other ways, but these are the ways that I use most often. So have some fun with these. The key is you have to practice them, and the more you practice them, the better you'll get. Years ago, for those of you who know me personally, I ride horses and I used to compete a lot in rodeos. And one of my riding instructors, this guy was amazing. He had this phrase which is stuck with me all my life. And he said, an amateur will practice until they get it right. A professional will practice until they can't get it wrong. Think about that. So if you like this video, remember to like and subscribe. Have a look at the membership site. There's hundreds of videos there which really go into NLP and hypnosis in depth for a really ridiculously low rate. So have a look at those. And in the meantime, I hope to see you soon.